Welcome back to the second part of our conversation with Sanjeev Bikhchandani, the father of startups, so to speak. Sanjeev takes us through the various stages of his life and the challenges he faced to get to where he has today. Sanjeev Bikhchandani here with us in this edition of HT's weekly talk show, The Interview, in our special segment, Life and Times with HT. Let me tread personal ground. As a young man, you were unsure of what you wanted, but you were absolutely sure of what you did not want. Usually, it's the other way around.
I think by process of elimination, I had come to saying, "Ye main nahi karunga."
What was the list of nahi karunga?
I will not join the government. I'll join the private sector. I will not be a doctor.
Why was that? Considering at that time there were just one or two professions: doctor, engineer, perhaps teaching.
My father was a doctor and in government, and I had seen his life. He worked really hard.
And you said that after I retire, what will I have to show? That was the question which was nagging you.
When I was working in a marketing job in a multinational corporation, I used to ask myself, "Bhai, ab main 58 साल की उम्र जब हो जाएगी मेरी, I was 25 then, and 58 look a long way away. What will I have to show as my life's achievement?" And I figured that if I continue in the corporate sector, what I had to show, other than perhaps financially being successful, I may not have made that much of a difference.
You know, when you were working for a company, that was also the time when sitting at your desk, you said, is life all about moving from a small cabin to a bigger one, or having a car which is a few inches longer than the others? Tell me about all that.
I had worked for 5 years in 2 large multinational corporations, so I had seen that life. It's the life that people used to aspire to, the life that I used to aspire to till I got there. Once I got there, I said, "Yaar, what is the meaning of all this? Aage jaake kya hoga? Why I'm here? To go shop to shop, checking out labels,
The gold line?
the gold line." And I said, there has to be something more to life than this. Back then, we were chasing a slightly bigger car, a slightly better address, a slightly bigger house, a slightly bigger cabin, or getting into a cabin in the first place, a better title on the visiting card, the ability to pay your EMI. So I was getting sucked into that. And I was saying, "Yeah, I need to leave before I become a prisoner of my EMI and my visiting card. And I need to explore life and see where it'll take me. I have a qualification. I'm Ahmedabad. I can come back anytime."
Were you so sure you could come back anytime? Because at that time, the job market, the options were not as many as you have today.
You're right. I think the big difference between then and now is that if you stepped out of the corporate sector to be an entrepreneur and it didn't work out and you want to come back after 3 or 4 years, you were branded a failed entrepreneur. And those 3-4 years experience was not valued. And therefore you came back to a multinational corporation. You were condemned to a glass ceiling of middle management. You would not rise to the top. So in that sense, leaving your job was a one-way street. In my head, I knew once I quit, I'll never come back. So therefore, मुझे मालूम था कि अगर मैं निकल जाऊं नौकरी से तो मैं वापस नहीं आऊंगा. That option is closed. I've burnt my boats. I've burnt my bridges. यहाँ से वापस नहीं आना है.
But you also left without a plan.
I left with a couple of small ideas. मैं explore कर रहा था दुनिया को. So I wasn't leaving a crazy high salary because तनख्वाह उतनी नहीं थी उस time. And I could make up that much by teaching on weekends.
But at that time, you didn't even have that option.
I did not know. But as I explored, I discovered these options exist. You don't have the comfort of a large organization, of a prestigious company, of a brand name behind you, but you are your own person. So 2 साल डर लगा. उसके बाद I got addicted to the independence and the ability to create and new ideas, do your own thing, be your own boss. So that was a big high. That मैं अपना कर रहा हूँ कुछ.
But if you'll allow me to use the word sensible, the sensible thing to do would have been, while you're at that job, while you decided to quit, you would look for something and walk out.
I was scared. I was nervous. But finally I said, यार अगर मैं अभी नहीं करूँगा तो कभी नहीं करूँगा. अगर 1 साल 2 साल रुक गया यहाँ पे तो मेरा कोई फायदा नहीं होगा. Let me step out and see what the world is like.
So you simply resigned.
So every day I'd go to office and say, today I'll resign, and I would not resign. Then my boss, his wife had a baby, so he took leave. So I went to his house with a bouquet of roses to see his wife and the baby. And while at his house, I said, Anup, I want to quit. He says, fine, I appreciate it. He said, I'll make life easier for you. You know what? He says, you come in for half a day till I find your replacement. So you'll get half your salary for the next 3 months, 4 months. It'll give you a soft landing. Since you're not joining anywhere else, you can do this. I said, yeah, I can do it.
This was Horlicks.
Horlicks.
Later, you funded and founded the Ashoka University. While as a student, you spent less time in classrooms and more in the lawns.
I did not have attendance problem in college. But yes, the course load was such that you did spend more time in the lawns. Right? In Delhi University then. Dekhiye, I'll tell you a few things, a few eureka moments. So I was in school. I was a good student in science. Us zamane mein IIT was a big thing. Still is. So I duly prepared for the IIT entrance. Now, as luck would have it, I cleared the exam. But when I went for the medical test, I learnt I was partially colorblind. Now, this is a bit of a jolt. The guy says, son, you can join, no problem, but some careers and some departments might be close to you and it'll go down in your permanent medical record. See, for the first time, I thought, for myself, and, why do I want to be an engineer? And after 3-6 months of thinking, I realized I don't want to be an engineer. I just want to be an IITian.
Again, the don't want more important than what I want.
Yeah, a lot of soul searching. I said, I'm joining a club, I'm joining a tribe, I'm getting a passport to a job, maybe a US education, maybe, I want the brand. After class 12, I got into IIT second time, but I also got admission in St. Stephen's Economics. And I said to myself, यार ये 3 साल का और 4 साल का है, दोनों brand है, दोनों club है, दोनों level है. I know nothing about engineering.
तो मैं 3 साल वाला कर लेता.
I know nothing about economics. I've done science with bio. And I said to myself that, let's save a year. So I went to Stephen's to study economics.
So, founding the Ashoka University, when and how?
So, when I went to DU, Stephen's, let's face it, Delhi University does not really, at least in those days, did not really tax you. Academically, did not make you work really hard. The system didn't push you.
And you could spend time in the lawns.
You could spend, yeah, and you...
And the canteen.
Yes.
And the tip dhaba.
Yes. For 3 years, I went to Delhi University and I graduated thinking, this could have been much more productive. खैर मेरी नौकरी लग गई, काम चालू किया और मैंने बिजनेस चालू कर दिया. Life went on. Around 2004, now I've 20 years after passing out of college, I went to one conference dinner and I bumped into a lady who'd been 1 year junior to me in Stephen's. And I said, hey Shalini, kya haal hai, long time this, that, what are you doing? She said, after college, I went to D school for my master's in economics and now I'm teaching at such and such college in DU economics. So I said, and what's in the syllabus? She says, the syllabus has not changed since 1982. This is 2004. I said, 22 saal ho gaye hain. Syllabus not changed. No, syllabus not changed. I said, why is syllabus not changed? She said, there's a curriculum committee of 14. I'm on it. 2 of us want change, or 3 of us want change. 11 don't want change. I said, why don't they want change? And I said, well, not my problem.
So when did it become your problem?
2007. 3 months later, St. Stephen's announced a 50% reservation with the interview cutoff for the reserve category being 35% lower than the open. So, if 95% पे general category interview cutoff है, it will be 60% for reserve category. Now, the alumni were up in arms, not at the reservation percentage, but at the gap. If you have such a low interview cutoff, there was an uproar but kuch hua nahi. So that is when I kind of figured that maybe it's time to start a new college. So the idea of Ashoka owes its germ to the St. Stephen's College principal at that time, that if he had not done that, I would not have pursued this.
How did you handle jibes like he's living off his wife's salary? What was it that kept you going when the world, in one sense, had written you off?
Actually, look, nobody said that because I was teaching on weekends.
But your wife's salary did support you.
Yeah, her wife, my wife's salary, I mean, it ran the house, it ran the kitchen, right? No two ways about it. And but I was on living off my wife's salary. Okay, so I was very particular about that. I think जो कुछ भी लोग बोलते थे मेरे बारे में मेरे सामने नहीं बोलते थे. उस ज़माने में ना मोबाइल फोन था ना इंटरनेट था. I was not in touch with my batchmates. But yes, my friends now tell me that around the year 99-2000, my batchmates used to talk about me to each other and say he was working in a large multinational, but he's gone and drifted, and what's become of it. So ये लोग बोलते थे. But then you got to keep on working, and if you succeed at what you're doing, then people stop saying those things.
So what was it that kept you going?
Stubbornness, ego, not willing to go back to a job, not biting the dust, not admitting defeat.
What were the childhood experiences that shaped you?
I think growing up in the family I did, and the parents I had, I think big influence. The school I went to, the teachers, the fact that we were a genuinely middle class family, the government salary, and therefore always had to be careful on money. The importance of education, studying hard, being driven into us by our parents and in school.
You said your school shaped you and had a great influence. How does it feel now to see the same school mired in controversy, a student being driven to suicide, etc., etc.?
Look, first of all, it's a great institution, right? And I'm deeply involved. I'm the vice president of the Old Columbus Trust. It's terribly unfortunate what happened. A young life has been lost. And the truth is, he was one of us.
What is your gut feeling?
This him, I don't want to prejudge. Obviously, the boy was going through some traumatic experience in his head that led him to contemplate something like this, right? Now, what were the various triggers? Certainly, he has named teachers in his suicide note.
Exactly.
So that was part of it. I don't want to speculate on anything else. But I do believe all my teachers in St. Columbus, they really cared. They may have disciplined us, but they were doing it for what they thought was good for us. So the intention was always right. I'm not sure that has changed. That nobody is being cruel to be cruel, right? But then I'm not in the school. The truth is that a young life has been lost, and that can't be reversed.
True. Before I wrap up on your being a foodie, bird watcher, photographer, let me ask you, what does one need to reach where you have and also earn so much money where counting the zeros also becomes difficult now?
I don't think you need to be or should be motivated by pursuing wealth. I think the wealth you earn is a happy incidental outcome of doing something you love. I didn't become an entrepreneur to make money. I became an entrepreneur because I wanted independence, freedom. I was happy drifting. We happened to stumble upon something big, and that worked out. And I've been lucky many times.
What is that one thing you would say never do to the young and aspiring who have a dream?
Stupidest thing I did was blow up all my money in the stock market very early on. So I would say take measured risks and don't do stupid things.
What have been your, oh God, never again moments?
Okay, so again, it's not something that crippled us, but early on, just as we raised venture capital, we were trying to grow the company. The internet was still very small. We could not figure how and when it'll grow. So we were trying different things. So one of the things we did was we launched a print edition of Naukri, right? And it sank without a trace. And we wasted a year or two doing that. It taught me that, listen, don't invest in yesterday's technology. Invest in tomorrow's technology. Print was yesterday's technology. And we didn't have the strength, the distribution strength, the marketing strength to make a print version of Naukri succeed. So play to your strengths and invest in tomorrow's technology.
Last question. You're a foodie, a bird watcher, a photographer, all in one. What is your me time?
So, देखिए, I used to be an avid photographer. Somewhere along the way, I dropped it. I think bird watching I used to do as a student. Again, somewhere along the way, I dropped it. Although I, still enjoy watching the trees outside the house and seeing birds.
You haven't dropped being a foodie.
No, foodie I have not dropped. Foodie I have not dropped. I think I enjoy all sorts of different foods and cuisines. So yeah, I'm still a foodie.
What's your me time?
Me time. So I will sit on a chair and watch history documentaries on YouTube. So I'm deeply interested in history.
And yet, what you pursue is not yesterday, but the technology of tomorrow.
Yes, I think that's important. I think really technology, innovation, startups, that's going to drive India forward. That's going to drive companies forward. And that's going to drive the next generation forward.
On that note, Sanjeev Bikhchandani, thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Kumkum.
And thank you for taking me through your life and times.
Thank you so much. Thank you.